We have to accept that COVID-19 is bringing some changes that might stick around for longer than we would expect, and these next few weeks are all about finding that new normal. Our Cindy Stallworth tells us more about the challenges that could come with the effects of COVID-19.
We've been told time and time again that things aren't going back to normal for quite some time, and that can be a tough pill to swallow. Adjusting to COVID-19 changes could turn out to be a challenge for some of us.
We're still working through the changes that have occurred currently. And so when we start to think about the future and possibly returning back to our sense of norm, there's going to be some anxiety with that as well, because we still are in limbo with a lot of what is currently happening.
Madison County leaders have been discussing the possibility of reopening businesses and getting our economy back up and moving. But that doesn't mean everything will be back to the way it was overnight.
The CDC is recommending now pretty strongly cloth face coverings to minimize the virus's chance of exposing others.
And the adjustment to life with COVID-19 changes could be hard for some.
We have to expect that some anxiety and concerns may linger on past this time.
With so much emphasis on social distancing and even hand signals to remind people to stay back, the thought of being back in public spaces could be daunting, to say the least.
There's going to be some concerns and even possibly some paranoia associated with just the need to be cautious and aware.
Vega tells us she's heard concerns from her clients.
Personally and professionally, a lot of people are just voicing their concerns of what is the long-term effects of this. You know, what does this look like after May?
But there are ways to refocus. Remember that this is new territory for all of us, and only listen to trusted information. All these steps, the social distancing, the masking, slowly reopening businesses, it's all bringing us a little bit closer to getting back to normal. Putting the Valley first, Cindy Stallworth, WZDX News.